The attic air hung heavy with the scent of forgotten things, dust motes dancing in the slender beams of sunlight piercing through a small, grimy window as Maeve, with soft auburn hair, styled in a practical yet elegant shoulder-length bob, occasionally pulled back with a simple wooden clip, and warm hazel eyes, kind and often holding a hint of lingering sadness, but also immense strength, carefully sifted through the boxes of a life now past, her movements measured and slow. Beneath a tattered tarp, half hidden behind an old rocking chair, her fingers brushed against the cool, rough surface of a familiar object, an aged wooden toolbox, dark with years of grease and use, a silent testament to the hands that had once wielded its contents with such skilled dedication. She pulled the heavy box closer, its familiar weight a sudden aching comfort in her arms, a stark reminder of the man whose quiet strength had once filled their home, and whose absence now echoed in every silent corner, a poignant emptiness. The rusted latch gave way with a soft click, revealing an array of meticulously organized tools within, each one nested perfectly in its place, a testament to her husband's orderly nature. And amidst the metallic gleam, a small, worn, leather-bound journal lay tucked away, almost hidden beneath a false bottom. With trembling fingers, Maeve retrieved the journal, its aged leather soft and cool beneath her touch, and as she opened it, a cascade of sealed envelopes neatly numbered tumbled out, each one addressed in her late husband's familiar, steady hand to "My dearest Kaelen." A sudden, profound realization washing over her. Meanwhile, in the living room below, Kaelen, with shaggy, dark brown hair, often falling into his expressive deep blue eyes and wearing a slightly oversized faded green hoodie, stared blankly at a television screen, his youthful melancholy a palpable presence, the weight of his father's passing having settled deep within him, creating a silent chasm between him and Maeve. He spent his days lost in his own thoughts, the once vibrant bond with his father now a painful memory, a void that he hadn't yet learned to navigate, retreating deeper into himself with each passing week, pushing away the comfort Maeve tried so desperately to offer him. Maeve descended the stairs, clutching the first letter in her hand, her heart a fragile vessel brimming with a mixture of hope and trepidation, and approaching Kaelen, who barely registered her presence. She spoke gently, her voice soft with unspoken emotion. She told him, "Kaelen, I found something special, something your father left for you." Kaelen, without looking up from the television, mumbled, his voice a low monotone. "What is it, Mom? Just old stuff?" Maeve knelt beside him, her voice filled with quiet insistence as she replied, "No, not just old stuff. It's from your father. Truly, for you." A flicker of something, perhaps curiosity or a dormant pain, crossed Kaelen's deep blue eyes as he finally turned, his gaze falling upon the envelope, recognizing the elegant, familiar script, and hesitantly, he reached out, his fingers brushing against the paper, a bridge to a past he had consciously tried to forget. He slowly unfolded the aged paper, the faint scent of old ink and something indefinably his father's lingering on the page. And as his eyes scanned the words, a silent narrative began to unfold, a voice from the past gently speaking to his present. Maeve watched him, her warm hazel eyes reflecting a fragile hope, and she whispered, "What does he say, Kaelen?" Kaelen's deep blue eyes remained fixed on the letter as he quietly read aloud, "My dearest Kaelen, I hope you're well, and that this letter finds you when you most need a bit of guidance." The words, simple yet profound, began to conjure images in Kaelen's mind of long past afternoons in the garage, his father's patient instruction accompanying the rhythmic clang of tools, a vivid memory of a time when the world felt simpler and safer, filled with a steady, loving presence. The first letter spoke of the importance of patience, of taking one's time to truly understand a problem before rushing to fix it. advice that felt remarkably apt for the disarray Kaelen's own heart found itself in, offering an unexpected glimmer of light in the lingering shadows of his grief. As the words settled, Kaelen's tight shoulders relaxed almost imperceptibly, a fragile crack appearing in the hardened shell he had built around himself, and Maeve, observing his subtle shift, offered a small, hopeful smile, knowing this was merely the first tentative step on a long, winding road to healing. Days turned into a week, then two, and a quiet ritual began to form between mother and son. Each evening, after dinner, Maeve would retrieve the next numbered letter from the journal, her anticipation growing with each unfolding page, and Kaelen, though still reserved, would be waiting. The second letter spoke of resilience, of bouncing back from setbacks, illustrated with a story of a stubborn garden gate that always needed a little extra coaxing, a lesson Kaelen found himself applying to a particularly challenging school project he had almost given up on. Kaelen, with shaggy dark brown hair, often falling into his expressive deep blue eyes still absorbed in his father's words, let out a soft chuckle as he finished the second letter, a sound Maeve hadn't heard in months, and she asked him, her voice light with affection, "What's so funny, sweetie?" Kaelen looked up, a faint smile playing on his lips, and replied, "Dad said the gate always reminded him of me, stubborn but eventually giving in." That evening, Kaelen actually went back to his desk, tackling his forgotten assignment with renewed determination, his father's words echoing softly in his mind, a silent encouragement that proved more potent than any direct lecture could have been. Each subsequent letter brought a new facet of his father's wisdom to light, lessons on honesty, the value of hard work, the importance of listening more than speaking, and with each revelation, Kaelen began to see the world and himself through a slightly different lens, slowly shedding the layers of his hardened grief. One evening, after reading a letter about the interconnectedness of all things, Maeve looked at Kaelen, her voice filled with a quiet wonder. "He always had such a way with words, didn't he?" Kaelen nodded slowly, his deep blue eyes thoughtful, and he said, "Yeah, I just wish I'd listened more when he was here." Maeve reached over, gently squeezing his hand, her touch conveying volumes of understanding, and she said, "He knew you were listening, Kaelen, in your own way. That's why he wrote these." Kaelen looked at her, his deep blue eyes still holding a hint of sadness, but also a burgeoning warmth, and he whispered, "Do you think so?" The letters weren't just lessons, but also anecdotes from his father's life, small windows into the man Kaelen was still getting to know, revealing vulnerabilities and dreams that made his father feel more human, more accessible, even in his absence, painting a richer portrait. One letter described a time his father had failed miserably at building a birdhouse, a clumsy, lopsided creation that still held pride of place in their old garden, teaching Kaelen that perfection was less important than the effort, the joy of creation, and the willingness to try again. Kaelen, with shaggy, dark brown hair, often falling into his expressive deep blue eyes, laughed aloud, a genuine joyful sound that echoed through the quiet house, and he told Maeve, his voice bright, "I remember that birdhouse. He tried so hard, but it always looked like it was about to fall over." Maeve smiled, her warm hazel eyes twinkling, and she added, "But the birds loved it, didn't they?" The memory sparked a new idea in Kaelen, inspiring him to retrieve his own neglected woodworking tools from the garage, a hobby he had abandoned after his father's passing, now imbued with a rekindled purpose, a quiet homage to shared passions. He started work on a small, intricately designed wooden box, each cut and joint a meditative act, his father's advice about patience and precision guiding his hands, a quiet dialogue unfolding between the living and the departed, a bridge forming across the chasm of grief. Maeve found him in the garage one afternoon, the scent of sawdust filling the air, and she smiled, her warm hazel eyes softening as she asked him, "Building something special?" Kaelen looked up, his deep blue eyes bright with a newfound light, and he replied, "Just trying to make something that won't fall apart, Mom. Like Dad used to say, measure twice, cut once." The letters weren't always serious. Some contained silly jokes, ridiculous drawings of tools with faces, or simple riddles that always made Kaelen smile, reminding him of his father's playful spirit, a lightness he hadn't allowed himself to remember for too long. With each letter, Kaelen began to open up more, sharing his thoughts, his worries, and even his laughter with Maeve, the silent chasm between them slowly but surely filling with shared memories and newfound understanding, their bond growing stronger with every shared moment. He started to volunteer at the local community center, helping with repairs and maintenance, finding a quiet satisfaction in applying his newfound skills, connecting with people in a way he hadn't felt capable of before, truly embodying his father's spirit of helpfulness. After a successful day at the community center, Kaelen, with shaggy, dark brown hair, often falling into his expressive, deep blue eyes, excitedly told Maeve, "The director asked me to come back next week, Mom. Said I was a natural." Maeve hugged him tightly, her warm hazel eyes shining with pride, and she responded, "Your father would be so incredibly proud of you, Kaelen." The stack of letters in the journal dwindled, each one now accompanied by the faint echo of a shared memory, a rediscovered piece of a man who had left so much more than just tools behind, leaving a tangible legacy that was slowly transforming his son. Kaelen began to carry the wooden box he had built, now finished, to the garage each day, placing it reverently beside his father's old toolbox, a symbolic gesture of continuity, a bridge between generations, a quiet promise of a future built on foundations of the past. Maeve watched him from the kitchen doorway, her warm hazel eyes filled with a quiet contentment, and she softly said, "He would love that, Kaelen." Kaelen turned, his deep blue eyes bright, and he replied, "I think he knows, Mom. I really do." The community garden, once neglected, had become Kaelen's new project, a place where he could apply lessons of patience and growth, turning barren soil into vibrant life, much like the letters had done for his own internal landscape, fostering a blossoming of spirit. He learned to nurture the plants with the same care and attention his father had always shown for every task, big or small, understanding that true growth, whether in a garden or in oneself, required dedication, time, and a gentle touch, a profound connection forged through unseen hands. One afternoon, a young child from the community center approached Kaelen, holding a wilted flower, and asked him, "Mr. Kaelen, can you fix my flower?" Kaelen, with shaggy, dark brown hair, often falling into his expressive deep blue eyes, smiled gently, his deep blue eyes kind, and he said, "Let's see if we can give it some water and sunshine, little one. Sometimes that's all we need to grow again." He carefully repotted the flower with the child's help, explaining each step with patience, just as his father had once taught him, recognizing the echo of his own past in the child's eager, curious eyes, perpetuating a beautiful cycle of learning and care. Maeve often observed Kaelen from a distance, her heart swelling with a bittersweet pride, seeing not just her son, but also the enduring spirit of her husband, alive and thriving in every thoughtful gesture, every kind word, a living testament to a love that transcended earthly bounds. The letters became a bridge not only between father and son, but also a catalyst for Maeve and Kaelen, encouraging open conversations about grief, memories, and the future, allowing them to finally grieve together, forging a new, stronger family unit born from shared healing. One day, Kaelen, with shaggy, dark brown hair, often falling into his expressive deep blue eyes, looked at Maeve, his deep blue eyes clearer than they had been in months, and he confessed, "I used to get so angry at Dad for leaving, Mom, but now I just feel thankful." Maeve smiled, her voice thick with emotion as she replied, "Me too, Kaelen. Me too." The weight of unspoken grief began to lift from their home, replaced by a quiet warmth, a palpable sense of peace that had been absent for too long, the letters acting as a silent guide, slowly restoring the light to their shadowed world, one heartfelt message at a time. Each letter revealed another layer of his father's personality, another piece of the intricate puzzle that was his life, making Kaelen realize that his father was not just the figure of authority he remembered, but a complex individual with his own struggles, joys, and quiet wisdom. The final few letters in the journal gleamed faintly under the soft lamplight, a sense of culmination hanging in the air, a quiet understanding that the end of this particular journey was drawing near, but the true journey of connection had only just begun. The penultimate letter contained a simple drawing of a compass, its needle pointing unwavering to home, accompanied by words about finding one's true north, understanding that home wasn't just a place, but the people who filled it with love and purpose, a profound philosophical truth. Kaelen, with shaggy, dark brown hair, often falling into his expressive deep blue eyes, sat quietly after reading it, his deep blue eyes distant, absorbing the full weight of the message, recognizing the gentle push his father was giving him towards self-discovery and a deeper connection to his roots, guiding him even now. Maeve, with soft auburn hair, styled in a practical yet elegant shoulder-length bob, occasionally pulled back with a simple wooden clip, sat beside him, her warm hazel eyes gentle, and she observed quietly, "He always had a knack for showing us the way, didn't he?" Kaelen turned to her, his voice soft with emotion. "He still does, Mom." The final letter was thicker than the others, and as Kaelen opened it, a small, worn photograph fell out, a faded image of his father, young and beaming, holding a tiny, bundled Kaelen in his arms, a symbol of unconditional love and a bond that started long ago, full of promise. The words that followed were not specific advice, but a heartfelt message of love, of pride in the man Kaelen was becoming, and an assurance that even though he wouldn't be there physically, his love would always be a guiding force, a constant, unwavering presence in Kaelen's life, echoing eternally. Kaelen, with shaggy, dark brown hair, often falling into his expressive deep blue eyes, carefully folded the last letter, holding the photograph gently, his heart feeling both heavy with loss and full of an overwhelming, profound love, and he finally spoke, his voice clear and resonant. "He knew, Mom. He really knew." Maeve, with soft auburn hair, styled in a practical yet elegant shoulder-length bob, occasionally pulled back with a simple wooden clip, nodded, her warm hazel eyes also wet, and she whispered, "Always, my dear, my..." With a newfound purpose, Kaelen stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking the ocean, the wind tousling his dark brown hair. A small, intricate wooden birdhouse he had carved himself held carefully in his hands, ready to embark on his own new beginning, carrying his father's lessons. He found a sturdy tree overlooking the endless blue horizon, a symbol of enduring strength and limitless possibilities, and with careful hands, he securely attached the birdhouse, a beacon of hope and a silent promise of new life, watching it sway gently in the breeze. A tiny wren, quick and fearless, fluttered by, inspecting the new dwelling before darting inside, a beautiful, unexpected affirmation of life's continuity, a gentle whisper from the universe that everything was and would be all right, echoing the father's enduring presence. Kaelen, with shaggy, dark brown hair, often falling into his expressive deep blue eyes, smiled, a genuine, radiant smile that reached his deep blue eyes, watching the tiny bird, feeling a deep sense of peace and connection, understanding that his father's love was not a memory, but a living, breathing force within him. He turned back towards the path leading home, his stride lighter, his heart full, ready to face the future, not with the burden of grief, but with the strength of his father's wisdom, the unwavering love of his mother, and his own rediscovered sense of purpose, a complete, healed young man. The old toolbox, now returned to its place in the garage, no longer felt like a monument to loss, but a vessel of enduring love, a silent guardian of cherished memories, its quiet presence a comforting reminder of lessons learned and bonds beautifully, powerfully restored, forever present. Maeve, with soft auburn hair, styled in a practical yet elegant shoulder-length bob, occasionally pulled back with a simple wooden clip, sat on the porch swing. Kaelen, with shaggy, dark brown hair, often falling into his expressive, deep blue eyes, sitting beside her, the sun setting in a blaze of glory, painting the sky with hues of hope and resilience, a tranquil scene of family peace. Maeve leaned her head on Kaelen's shoulder, her voice soft with gratitude. "He would be so incredibly proud of you, Kaelen." Kaelen reached for her hand, his deep blue eyes now reflecting the tranquil sunset, and he said, "I think he is, Mom. I think he's right here with us." And as the last golden rays dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with farewell hues, a single star, bright and unwavering, shimmered into view. A silent promise, a gentle reminder that some bonds, forged in love and enduring wisdom, truly shine brightest from beyond the grave, illuminating the path forward forever and always.